So here we go with the first of 3 BELLOQs, who is the antagonist of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, what I never really realized until a long time after the fact, but BELLOQ is basically the reverse Flash of Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones, being the Flash in this analogy, always does his thing, being good. But BELLOQ is also an archaeologist, being extremely successful after plagiarizing Indiana Jones's work, and to top it off, he's a Nazi. It's uncanny how similar the backgrounds are, yet they're the biggest rivals of any universe ever. But not all archaeologists are perfect. BELLOQ was caught tangled in a grave robbing scheme and became a mercenary archaeologist. How cool is that title? Mercenary archaeologist. This title led him to being hired by Hitler and yada yada yada, and ultimately die from the Ark of the Covenant. Death finds a way. Sorry, I did not talk about anything related to BELLOQ in this game in the last segment. But my line requirement for the script is 10 lines long per segment, so I'm saving the BELLOQ-ness for this segment. This BELLOQ, as well as the previous one, they have the academic ability, so they're smart, I guess. But if BELLOQ and Indiana Jones are the Flash and Reverse Flash, then Indiana Jones should have a book permanently, and BELLOQ should have a whip. I guess my analogy wasn't as thought out as I initially thought. Anyway, the Jungle BELLOQ was from the first level of the game, while this BELLOQ is looking much more snazzy in his white suit and fedora. They both wear fedoras! Oh my god. This analogy just keeps getting thicker. Now, I wish I had the money to wear a white suit and fedora, let alone pull it off. But anyway, does no one talk about the Indie EU? All this talk about the Star Wars EU, but not Indiana Jones? I gotta admit, the Indie EU is interesting by itself, and BELLOQ shows up quite a few times. BELLOQ is like the bully that keeps bullying you after high school, Don't get mad at me, but this BELLOQ does not have the academic ability. I know. Preposterous. But if we're being fair, it doesn't look like those robes have anywhere to put a book for translation, right? Therefore, checkmate, I win. You might ask though, why is BELLOQ in robes higher than the other BELLOQs if he doesn't have the academic ability? That's a fair question. But did you consider this though? His outfit is legendary. This is the very same outfit he was wearing when he blew up his own head. Isn't that pretty cool? Also, BELLOQ thought that this garb was appropriate for when he opened the Ark of the Covenant. If that's so, then shouldn't his cronies wear the ridiculous garb as well? I mean, like Major Thought over here? Perhaps if they all wore the same outfit, they would have gotten the same result they were expecting. But I guess we'll never know. Okay, I know I have a lot of boys, but Henry Jones is the boy to end all boys. He was notorious for bitch slapping his own son while looking at him in a sidecar. They even adapted the parental abuse in a cutscene in this game, and honestly it was pretty sad. I remember tearing up as a kid when I watched it. Frankly guys, we need to end Lego abuse. It's really progressive of this game to bring such a taboo subject to this game despite all the stigma around it. So spread the word about Lego abuse. 50% of cases aren't reported because the Lego are simply too afraid of the chance of their owners finding out. Hashtag stop Lego abuse. Alright, I'll put a halt to this little joke. Anyway, Indiana Jones is the last of the characters who have just the academic ability and nothing else. You do play Henry Jones quite a lot in the Last Crusade levels, which makes sense because the movie really pushed the father-son dynamic. You might have noticed that there's been a lack of Temple of Doom characters so far in this list as a whole. It has mostly been Raiders of the Lost Ark and the Last Crusade characters. Well, for the remainder of this episode and at the beginning of the next episode, there will be a slew of Temple of Doom characters. Why? Because we've reached the THUGGee characters. What are THUGGee characters? Well, it's a mechanic introduced in Temple of Doom levels, and someone with Thuggee status, or a character with a Thuggee hat, can go up to a statue and talk to it. The statue responds and does something. Whether it be opening a door or revealing bricks, I don't know. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm not sure if the PANKOT assassin is actually a Thuggee. He looks like one, so whatever. Obviously, I should have researched the characters more, but I don't know them as well as I did when I played the game non-stop when I was younger. It's whatever though. The PANKOT assassins should know about the cult, in my opinion. I mean, they have a sword, so that's reason enough. Okay, I'll frickin' kill myself if the Thuggee does not have the Thuggee ability. Anyway, this is the first official Thuggee character, and I chose him as the worst of the Thuggees because his name it pretty much explains what he is. All of the other Thuggees have an additional title as well as being a Thuggee. Thuggee is just a Thuggee. You think like people like Mola Ram tell the Thuggees to talk to statues only because they can't do anything else? Mola Ram goes, "Hey Thuggee, talk to this statue for me." And the Thuggee says, "But why can't you do it?" "Because I have a name, peasant." I don't know. It's just what I think. I mean, I think the Thuggee ability is the requirement, the base requirement needed to get an entry-level job at Mola Ram's Cult & Co. trademark. Thuggee is just a fancy word for expendable asset. Remember when Mola Ram threw his own man off the broken bridge in hopes of him hitting Indiana Jones on the way down? That guy was probably a Thuggee. Chowder Lal is that guy who initially welcomed Indiana Jones and his gang to Pankot Palace. After all, he is the Prime Minister of Pankot. I didn't know there was a Prime Minister for such a specific area, but I'll go with it. He even wore a cool blue suit. I mean, the suit looks nothing like what everyone else wore, but hey, it's fashionable, and that's all that really matters. Anyway, when I first watched Temple of Doom, this dude was like my favorite character. But then I found out he was none other than a two-timing Dane. But I'm glad the game designers saw this too, because he looks a lot wimpier in this game than he does in the movie. Granted, he's wimpy in the movie too, but still. He made Willie eat monkey brains, and I can't forgive that. And yes, Chowder Lal is a Thuggee, making the regular Thuggee even more pointless. Why can't the Thuggee be the chef or something? I don't know. Now, before I make too many Thuggee jokes, yes, I know the Thuggee was the name of the cult itself, but hey, why can't the Thuggee be named Thuggee Cult Member? See, now you know the basis of my Thuggee joke spree. Anyway, now that Chowder Lal has revealed himself as the snake he is, I'll make sure to think lowly of him. I'll be honest, sometimes my mind just wants to like him, but I can't let it happen. I can't forgive him for what he's done. Chowder Lal was my boy, but I value Indiana Jones as a boy more than him, because Indiana Jones is honorable, and therefore a boy. There's nothing much else to say about Chowder Lal except how gross this guy is. Not gross physically, which I'd say is quite the opposite, but how he is mentally. How willing he is to two-time Indiana Jones. Tisk tisk. At least keep Short Round out of it, but no, you gotta two-time him as well. Now I know acolyte may be too complex of a word for you simpletons, but it basically means a follower. So you may wonder, shouldn't the Thuggee be named this because he's the follower, while the acolyte obviously has a higher status in the cult? Well, here's the difference. The follower part is actually referring to because you don't want to be the next guy with his heart out of his chest, right fellas? Anyway, yeah, the Thuggee acolyte does have the Thuggee ability. At least we're almost finished with the slew of Thuggee characters, that's for sure. You already know, fellas, one of the most infamous fight scenes from the Temple of Doom, the Thuggee slave driver. He was a boss fight in the game as well. The whole fight was Short Round beating up Maharaja, just like in the movie, so that Indiana Jones could win. Even though Maharaja didn't have the voodoo doll in the game like he did in this movie, and he instead had this weird elixir. But the Thuggee slave driver is a part of my list of boys because this guy is basically enemy boxer, but with a turban, and also more clothing, and also looks a lot like Indiana Jones in this game. Yes, he has the Thuggee ability before anyone asks again, because I know you guys are asking to the screen right now, like verbally speaking to the screen about it. But this guy did not deserve the death he got. Slavery's bad and all, but this guy's just doing his job. Not his fault he's on the wrong side. Imagine if Thuggee slave driver and Indiana Jones worked together instead of fought each other. They'd kick a lot of booty, dude.